Hello, good to see you again. It's really time we caught up because there has been so much going on in the world of the Don't You Worry project. So this is the first little lull now where I've sent out all the instructions I can to the next lot of you musicians, and I'm waiting for those files to come back. Hence, I'm talking to you and trying to keep you up to date. I'm going to try and keep this quite brief today, but I will go into a technical focus on how the project is actually being put together in terms of the audio and the video side of things. But today is just going to be a quick run through on everything that's been going on in the last couple of weeks. I want to start by thanking you so much for all the messages I've received from the musicians, friends, and people outside the group as well. It's really encouraging to know that we're doing something good and something that will bring joy to a few people's hearts. So thank you for those. It's really encouraging and keeps me going. Thank you. I mentioned last time about some of the inspirational musicians I've managed to get on board with this project. Well, one of the people that I really wanted to contact was my ex-course leader at my music college, Charlie Beale. After he left there, he went on to write the jazz syllabus for the Associated Board, and I haven't heard from him for about 25 years. And who should message me literally a couple of days after I thought about that? He now resides in New York City, which has obviously been hit really hard by this crisis, but he's also offered to play a few bars for me, which is just fantastic. Also at my college, my jazz mentor, who'd be so disappointed in my progress to date, Liam Noble, has offered to play a few bars as well, so the jazz section is really warming up now. We also have another awesome jazz saxophonist in Simon Allen, who used to teach my son when he was at the Purcell School and is now teaching my daughter at Barton Peveril as well. That's just going to be fantastic. And many others that I haven't mentioned and won't have time to mention, but I love you all and I'm really excited to hear what you're going to do. So what are the news? I think last time we spoke, I was waiting for some files to come back from Dave Wallace. I asked Dave to do a guide track for the whole of the performance so that if any drummers dropped out or if I had any issues with sound, I could always cut back to Dave as like a safety net, if you like. Well, he made me a guide track on his MIDI drum pads. I still don't know how he does that. It sounds amazing to me. And having these drums laid down for the entire track has meant that I can get on with sending out parts to the other musicians without having to wait for the drummers to come back with their parts. So I then got on and sent out the instructions to the bass players. That track is almost complete, and I've now instructed the guitarists and keyboard players. Some of that material has also come back. And I'm trying really hard to make sure that each section gels as if it was one band playing rather than 10 different drummers. That's a real challenge, but it's working out a lot better than I expected, and I'm really happy with the progress so far. So as soon as I get files back from musicians, they go straight into the project and I do a rough mix of those and then send them out to more musicians to play on top. And I've just sent out the first lot of backing vocals, and once those are down I can start instructing the lead vocalist as well. One of the sections that has been held up is the jazz section, where the drummer had a few technical difficulties to deal with, but he's returned his parts now as well, and it's starting to sound really good. And I've asked another jazz drummer actually to extend that section because we have so many soloists to squeeze in. So Southampton's finest jazz drummer Ted Carrasco is busy working on that part now to try and gel the two together, and we can get that out to the bass players then before the soloists then go and do their thing. So the massive spreadsheet which I talked about last time is slowly turning green. I decided to color code it so the blue sections are sections that I've sent out to musicians to record, and green sections are sections that are completed and come back with video ready to go into the project. So rough mixes are happening as material comes into me, and I can post that out to the next lot of musicians. Likewise, the video is starting to come together now. It's the first time I looked at it last night, but I do need to work on those video layouts because it's going to get very cluttered on screen once I have all the 48 vocalists involved as well. But I am getting a bit of help too. I instructed a couple of arrangers to help me. So I've commissioned a young big band leader and jazz arranger, Sam Every, to come up with an arrangement of Don't You Worry About a Thing for the end credits for just the horns to play. I've also done the same for the vocalists, as there are so many of them. So one of my singers, Chloe Dupre, has come up with a fantastic arrangement. I couldn't help myself but add some bass to it and some other bits, and that's just going to sound fantastic when it's all down. Don't you worry about a thing. Don't you worry. So this is about where we're up to right now. I've sent all the material out to the backing vocalists for their parts. I've asked for a brief string arrangement from Steve Turner in sort of a Spanishy style for the Latin percussion break. I've been working on some flamenco guitar with the help of Neil Gosney in Spain. And I'm just chasing the few last parts from the rhythm section guys. But it's all coming together really well. Couldn't be happier right now.
We think we have it very well under control.
It is taking a long time, but I'm here on my own and I want to try and get it right for everybody involved. It's going to be worth it in the end. I just want to keep the momentum up and get this out there because there are so many new things coming out every single day. On a final and rather sad note, I just want to touch on this epidemic as a whole. I don't think any of us expected in the beginning just how devastating this would be in lots of different ways for lots of people. And I can't help but reevaluate what this is all about. In the beginning, it was all about the musicians and supporting them, which it still is, of course. But I think it's a lot deeper than that now, and it's changing every single day. And I've started to consider the charity aspect of this venture. But who do you support when there are so many people in need at this time? I largely took up music because of my nan, who took up classical piano fairly late on in life, I think. I was just 8 years old at the time, but I do remember quite vividly the work that the hospice that she went to did for her end-of-life care. It's a hospice called Countess Mountbatten in Southampton, who Wonderband have supported with a couple of charity gigs fairly recently. And it's been all over the news in the last couple of days how these hospitals and care homes are suffering with a lack of PPE and protection for their staff and the patients. So I'd love to add our support for them, but also know of 2 people that have died of cancer in the last 2 weeks at home during this crisis. That must just have been horrendous, the difficulty of caring for them in this environment. And also have other friends that are suffering from cancer and leukemia. One of our baritone saxophone players, who you'll see featured in the video, is just the most amazing guy. I'm referring to Tim Downs, who together with his wife Jo bring a smile to my face every single day, because they used to run the Southampton Jazz Workshop where my son started playing saxophone in a big band at age 10. They somehow managed to get a sound out of those kids that was comparable to some of the top bands you'll hear. One of my proudest moments was going to the Barbican Centre with my son to watch them play in a programme called Essentially Ellington, which is run by Wynton Marsalis. They, along with the other youth bands that appeared there, were absolutely phenomenal. And I can't praise enough the work that those 2 have done for music in Southampton and propelling these young kids into a career in music. They're just unbelievable. And if you're on Facebook, go and look up Joe Downs' page, because every single day during the coronavirus outbreak, they are producing a music video or a crazy song or something and just bringing joy to the world. Tim was sadly diagnosed a few months ago with a form of leukemia, but he and Joe belong to that group of people that are annoyingly selfless, and they continue raising money for charity and helping other people, making people smile, making people cry, and I really want to support them as they've supported my family. Most recently they were raising money for the Macmillan Cancer Trust, so I'd like to put a link below as well to support those donations. If you like what we're trying to do and you can spare anything at all, it would be so much appreciated, not just by me, but everyone that needs that support. I think everyone will be touched in some way by the coronavirus outbreak. I was talking to my friend Neil in Spain the other day, who'll be playing guitar on this project, and he said that he's already lost several friends and colleagues and is in and out of the hospital on a regular basis. So yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone will be touched by this crisis in some way. So please stay safe, stay indoors, play music, learn music, listen to music. Above all, stay safe, protect the NHS, save lives. We can all do our bit. See you next time.
What the world needs now.